Hello dear students, welcome in this online sessions of the live lectures of your 10th standard. Now the lesson which we are going to discuss today is depending upon the agriculture. As we know that agriculture is the very important part of any growing economical status of a country, and apart from that it is also very essential for the health of a country too here. So therefore you can see the tag which I have already mentioned, that is Indian agriculture, lesson number 10. Now what does the Indian agriculture says that? Indian agriculture says that agriculture is like agricultural country, which we generally call like agrarian country like India, is totally depending upon the agriculture. Like 60% of the annual income is contributed from the agriculture, where the 30% of the land is only given for the agriculture. So therefore we can say that this is a factor where we need to understand which kind of agriculture is done here. Along with that, we need to also understand the introductive part of the lesson, which I'll be making you to understand, that is the introduction related toward the agriculture. After this, we'll be moving towards the types of farmings too here. Types of farmings. Now, which types of farmings are available? Basically, we'll be discussing about some of the factors related to the types of farming. As if we go more further, we'll understand about subsistence farming. Then we'll go to the dry farming. Later on, we'll be moving to the wet farming. So students, you need to focus on basic this categorized factor where I am making you to understand about the detail related to the farming we can say categories, types, and how this India is actually locating itself with this kinds of important features of the farming here. So if you talk about since from the ancient time, we are already remaining with the people of the we can say developing nation. It means that India is about 60% of the labor power is actually engaged in the agriculture only. That you need to understand, 60% of the labor power. Apart from that, if you go more further in the detail, then we can say agriculture occupies around 22% of the national product income. It means that around 22% of the income is coming from the agriculture. That's how we can say that India is an agrarian country. This is not it here. See, Indian economy is firmly depend on this kinds of agriculture, and mainly if you talk about the agriculture, then we can say that India is an agrarian country, where we can say 18% export of agriculture industries are actually related to the agricultural field here. It means that the crops and the other products holds about 18% of the contribution that is exported with the earning of the foreign exchange and coming from the agricultural field only. So that's how we need to understand agriculture, and its importance are very we can say a topic to be studied out, and a topic should be stably we can say progressed out also. Therefore we need to go with the general factor which I am actually trying to explain you here in this chapter of the 10th chapter, that is the lesson number 10 and the standard 10, that is Indian agriculture. Now see my dear student, as I made you to understand about the types of farming. In these types of farming, you generally see that the methods are different. Now, which kind of methods can be seen here? If you just focus on the types of farming, then we can talk about subsistence farming. What is subsistence farming? It means that after the independence, you need to understand, it means like after 1947. Just to focus on that, after the independence 1947, the agriculture development and the products were going more and more impatiously forward. It means that it was about to progress well. Now economical condition of India at that time related to the farming agencies, and the farmer was very much poor. So therefore we can say costly seeds, fertilizers and basic things were somehow used out, and they were not affordable actually from them. Therefore what happened, we started our own farm, and we started to own the sufficient land also for the farming and all. And laterly we can say that even today also somehow farming projects are not sufficient, but then also we are trying to struggle out from this kinds of farming we can say general process of work also, as well as farming agencies also, as well as farmers are also suffering there. Therefore we can say that we need to actually make a farming or make a subsistence farming that is actually more than a family of a people. And if you'll ask me what is actually the meaning of subsistence farming, then I will say that when a person is actually doing farming for his only life, only family, not for the nation, then that is only known as the subsistence farming. It is one kind of farming which is actually providing the help for only one house. It is not contributing inside the national income in a large amount. So you might have seen most of the farmers are getting profit, they are selling, they are buying, they are growing. But in this kinds of farming, the small land is given, or a small land is occupied by a man, and he is working on this and his farm just to fulfill the basic needs of his family. Furthermore, he is not having any kind of money related to that. That is the subsistence farming here. Next, if you'll go, what is the dry farming there? Dry farming is related with the general, related with the thoughts of, we can say that, less uses of water. It means that okay, when the rainfall is inadequate, some kinds of facilities are also inadequate. So at that time, irrigation facilities are less, and that's how we can say we need to improve the irrigation facilities. Farming is not an easy work, my dear, but the farming is depending upon the rain, and the rain is not there, then we can say that okay, some of the crops can be only accumulated, they can be only generated throughout a year, and that's how we can say that some of the lands are also related with that, including states too here, like Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab and Gujarat are coming somehow inside the dry farming state of the areas, where Gujarat is receiving good amount of rain, but not that much amount of rain like Assam and Bangala is receiving, or the Bihar is receiving. So therefore we can say that here dry farming crops are done. Now in the dry farming crops, which kind of crops are done? You can find out like jowar, you can find like millets and all, and you can find out like more about the plants which are actually like related to pulses and all, which actually require less amount of water. Therefore we can say that okay, in the Gujarat, wheat and gram are grown inside the humid region after the, we can say, monsoon is over. And the other reason we need to understand, okay, in the other reason the dry farming can be also seen out inside the Gujarat here. So that's about the dry farming. Now we'll be moving to the wet farming. What is the wet farming? See here, my dear student, the plantation is done on the basic category where we can say that okay, wet farming is carried out in the region where the heavy rainfall is there. Meghalaya, if you talk about rainforest and all, then Bengal, Bihar, another part of the zone also. So thus we can say that it is actually the area consisting more amount of humidity inside the soil. So after that, the monsoon is in the high peak of level. These kinds of farmings can be seen in the area wise. Now here we don't need any kind of artificial irrigations. We don't need in the wet farming. Irrigation facilities are given there. Naturally it is given there. That's why we can say that okay, paddy is grown, rice, then if you go more for the sugar cane, then cotton, and apart from that we can say vegetables and other kinds of things are also grown in that. So these are the general categories related to the wet farming also. Now see, these were the three factors related to the farming. If we go more apart with the basic example theories and all, or basic relative factors, then we can say shifting agriculture can be also same here. Now what is the meaning of shifting agriculture, which is also known as zoom agriculture or zoom farming? Now what is zoom farming? Let's focus here. See, once the crop is obtained, the land is left for many years to grow shrubs, to grow trees, plants and all, so that they sustain the durability and longevity, and also they sustain the mineral of the land. Therefore we can say another time the cropping can be done out after cutting these kinds of trees and plants. That's known as the zoom agriculture according to me. But if you go more further in the detail, then I can tell you that zoom agriculture is relating with the farming where it is less done and less practiced in India. So let's check it out the detail about here. So we can say that forests are burnt and cleared somehow, and farming is carried out on that area. Same as farming takes place for 2 to 3 years, especially a land to be ready for the farming takes 2 to 3 years, so that zoom agriculture, or we can say so that cultivation of the land could be done there, mineral availability can be done there, fertilizers could be good enough, and therefore we can say that then it is actually ready for the crops. So therefore we can say zoom agriculture is quite a different method, and it is a slow process also, and same as plantation and the agriculture is also related with that kind of same factor here. So we can say that next topic is coming about the plantation, about the agriculture, which is a special type of agriculture. Here we can say that rubber is obtained. Not only rubber, tea, coffee, then we can say coconuts, apple, mangoes, then orange, grapes, amla, and other kinds of like marvelums and all. They are actually lemon, citric food containing, we can say kharek, like date palms, dried dates and all. These all are including inside these kinds of farmings like related towards the agriculture and the plantation too here. That's how we can say we need to protect from all the sides of this kinds of farming. So as I made you understand, that is the other fruits and vegetables are grown inside the plantation of the agriculture. So we'll write also here plantation of agriculture. So these are the things which are actually exported also, which are actually used also, and somehow we can say that it is also worldwide we can say accepted, and it is one of the farming which is actually done most on the areas too here. Now wherever these kinds of farmings are done, we can say somehow the land and the landowners are satisfied. But sometimes when we need to actually produce more amount of crop, we need to actually produce more amount of, we can say, farmings and all, we need to get more amount of profit and all, then what we do at that time? We go actually on the profit scale level, and that is actually giving birth to the intensive farming. What is intensive farming? See, intensive means what? See, let me just write down here. Intensive, the meaning of intensive is that intensive farming means a large amount of farming, that is basically large or the lots of amount, abundance amount of the farming, in which mechanized system of the machineries are also used, and through the utilization of increasing, we can say, irrigation facilities and other chemical fertilizers and many more kinds of things, mechanical equipment, powerful equipments and all, different types of farmings and all, these kinds of farmings are done, in which generally we use to get more productivity, and as an important, we can say, importance is given to the economical returns through the farming. The money value is income, more and more income is there. That's why we can say this farming is also known as the intensive farming as well as commercial farming too here. It means that lots of amount of machinery, lots of amount of labor, lots of amount of fertilizers, lots of amount of land, and lots of amount of production. Furthermore, lots of amount of production will bring the lots of amount of money to inside the owner's house. So that's how we can say these are the basic relation with the farming. We can say there are some kinds of organic farming also, and there are some kinds of inorganic farming also. There are some kinds of different kinds of farmings also, and also we can say that ki organic and inorganic, along with that subsistence of the farmings are also done there, sustainable farmings are also done there. If you'll ask me, okay, what is the meaning of organic farming, then I will say, my dear student, to you that organic is a word which is actually used by the biofertilizers, or which is actually attached with the biofertilizers, earthworms and basic other kinds of components which are naturally available, and which are helpful in boosting up the fertility of the land and the growth of the crops also. So that can be said as the basic information related to the organic farming, and that's how we can say organic farming is the one of the farming which is also practiced well, but not in a wide area, because we need organic manure or the good amount of land too. Therefore we can say nowadays organic farming products are in the demand in the farms, but somehow it is less available to here. Therefore we need to understand that this kinds of farming must be promoted here. And there comes next to that, that is the suitable, or we can say suitable farming, or we can say like sustainable farming. So in order to see all the kinds of fertility of the land, and also we can say retail good long lifelity of these kinds of lands and all, the care is taken of the crops, and well it is taken there, and that's how we can say that the rotation of the crops are done, so that every kind of components and the fertilizers should be regenerated inside the soil. For example, if 2 to 3 types of heavy crops are obtained once in a year, next 2 to 3 months you should actually sow the seeds of groundnuts, you should go with the pulses, you should go with the Bengal gram, and also that they will boost up the level of nitrogen, and furthermore again it is ready for the heavy croppings here. So somehow we can say that it is a sustainable farming, which is also very necessary for the biotic components too here, and the biotic controlling of the insects too, and harvesting water, harvesting machineries, as well as irrigation water facilities, conservation are the basic factor which we need to take care while we are going for the sustainable farming. Now in some kinds of areas mixed farming are also done. After the, we can say, organic, we need to understand about the mixed farming. Now what is mixed farming? Mixed farming means we are actually focusing over the basic 3 crops: kharif crops, rabi crops, and the zaid crops. So that's how we can say that a cattle rearing, poultry farming, and apart from that we can say sericulture, apiculture, pisciculture, etc. cultures are there, horticultures are there, simultaneously working at same place or any different places here by different owners. It may be publicly attached or the personally attached. It means that it can become in the public sector also and in the private sector too here, can be said as we can say like mixed farming too here. Now as you can understand these kinds of factors, they need to also understand that there are basic three types of the crops here. Means students, there are basic three different kinds of types of crops are there. Kharif crops, as I said you, zaid crops are there, then rabi crops are there, and other crops are also there. So food grains are cultivated around 75% under the area shown, and in that we can say that somehow vegetables are also produced here, other major fruits are also produced in India, and in that we can say that these kinds of farmings are especially helpful. These kinds of farmings are especially helpful when these kinds of crops are actually produced out. Just take a general example of paddy. Paddy is the most important crop of our India, and it is also grown large in the amount in the states of India, where we can say paddy is shown fourth of the, we can say, total sown area of the India, where paddy is the crop of a torrid zone. It is the crop of a torrid zone, and for more production we need more amount of rainfall and irrigation facilities too here. Thus, with the due of less rainfall in Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, this crop is taken throughout the irrigation facilities. It means that we need to get irrigation facilities, artificial amount of water in the Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and all. But in the Bihar, Bengal, Odisha, we can say this is actually grown naturally because there is a lots of amount of water. Now if I talk about the Gujarat, so the paddy is also grown in the Gujarat. Some of the districts are there, like we can say Tapi, Surat, Panchmahal, Ahmedabad, Kheda, Anand, Vadodara, then Valsad districts are also relating with the paddy and the paddy crops also, but they are needing more amount of water, which is actually given by the help of, we can say that, like agriculture, and help of, we can say, irrigation too here, and the water facilities also. So this is the general example related to the cropping and the cropping related resources, products, and also we can say that the farming, which is like dry farming, subsistence farming, and the farming which is related with the paddy too here. So if we understand about the paddy, we need to also understand the relative factor related to the wheat. Wheat is the important crop of our country, and after paddy it is known as well, Punjab is the largest wheat ball producing state of our nation. So wheat is only grown inside, we can say it is grown over the area, third area, which is actually arable land of our country, and it is also one of the farming which is can be said as substantial farming, that is food for the people. At least we need rice and chapati, at least we need to get. So it is very popular here. From the northwest to India, it is very popular, and it is also known as the rabi crops, that is the rabi crops. Now if you talk about, it is the crop of temperate zone. It needs the hot amount of temperature to be get a proper amount of quality, and apart from that, if you just get less rainfall or receiving less rainfall than 100 centimeter, then also paddy can be seen to be growing out here. Now this is not it, my dear student. If you go more further, then we can say that wheat and the paddy are grown in almost all the areas and all, but here we can say wheat is actually grown in such a area maximum inside like Punjab, Haryana, and other Uttar Pradesh too. So wheat is actually cultivated mostly in the Punjab, Haryana, western part of the Uttar Pradesh, and these states contribute about 2/3 of the total national income or the production from the wheat only. As there is an irrigation facility, less states are actually producing more amount of wheats and all, and if you go more further, then we can say Punjab is also known as the wheat ball of India. Must remember, Punjab is known as the wheat ball of India. So we can say that these kinds of farmings are helping us to generate some amount of good amount of croppings also, and to get the best amount of benefits too here. Now if you'll see on the page number 79, you will find a map. Okay, that map will show you the India and Indian agriculture, where you can find jowar, millet, then you will find barley are the basic major crops of our India, where we can say jowar is the most crop which is produced in the grains in India after paddy, and after that wheat is also in that same queue here. So therefore we can say the crop is grown very amount in the India, and this kinds of farmings also related to these kinds of crops. And also if we go more further in the detail, then I will say that these kinds of crops are very useful and good for the health also. Furthermore, millet is there, which is considered to be the grain of labors, that is the bajras and all. The laborers who are working inside the farm, the laborers who are working inside the hot sun and all, so they need this kinds of heavy crop. So it is also major states of the millets producing, like Rajasthan, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, then Maharashtra, Banaskantha district, Gujarat, and other kinds of states also nearby the Gujarats and all. So millet is mainly produced in Gujarat too, and therefore it needs between, we can say, 25 to 30 degree of the rainfall, between 40 to 50, and light sandy soil too for the sustainability. These are the crops which are actually Indian crops, the farmer crops, the crops which are we eating, and the crops which is also related with the people of the especially village, hardworking people, those who are actually working inside the farm, those who are actually working like the laborers, they need to eat the millet also. Now you all have had the popcorns, that is the maize. Now this kharif crop is also known as the maize, which is mostly crop. The next topic is maize, which is mostly actually grown after the paddy in the world. So that's how we can say after the paddy and wheat, maize is grown in the world. Now where it is found? It is found actually in the zone of slopy, black soil, we can say hard and rocky surface too here, where we can say that it is consisting of good amount of oil protein also in that. So therefore it can be used as the biofuel also, and so it is also used as the fodder of animal. So what kind of rainfall we need, my dear student? We need around 50 to 100 centimeter rainfall, where the temperature not must be exceeding than 27 to 28 degrees Celsius, because 21 to 27 degrees Celsius temperature are favorable factor for the maize croppings, for the corn croppings and all. And that's how we can say popcorns are also made by that, other cultivation products are also made by that. And here we can say okay, major products which are actually used out inside this kinds of farmings are also related in the Q relation to the maize also here. So these are the general relation factor of the maize, but which states are producing this? That might be a question to you. Now we can say major states producing maize are starting from Rajasthan, neighboring Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh. Then if you'll go more in the detail, then we can say Punjab is there, Jammu Kashmir on the northern boundaries and all are the major states producing this kinds of maize. And side by side Himachal Pradesh, then we can say Karnataka, and Gujarat too is in the queue of that. Where in the Gujarat, if I talk in the basic information, then we'll talk about that in the Gujarat, Panchmahal is also producing maize, Dahod is also, then Sabarkantha, and we can say other part of Gujarat is also like Aravalli district zone is also producing much amount of maize. So that is the relative factor to the maize and all. Later if you go more further in the detail, then we'll be understanding about the pulses also, because these kinds of croppings are related with the pulses, and pulses are also very important in the theory, where we can get all the detailed concept of our lecture and the systematic theory of our we can say Indian agriculture too here. So this lecture is still here only. Students will see in the other part of the lecture the relating factor, and till then you can read by yourself, and also you can go through with your general examples and detailed theory related with your Indian agriculture and the resources too here. Thank you. Jai Hind.